So we did this earlier in the week for WWE wrestlers, and I promised you we'd come back with AEW people, which is what we're doing today before the weekend, another edition of SmackDown, if you are watching this on day one. And it's a little bit harder with AEW, and here's why. Because I am talking about people that are mostly featuring on TV at the moment, but as we know with All Elite Wrestling, sometimes people come and sometimes people go. So Adam Cole would be on this list, but because it's only just come back and because the story's in is a little bit confusing, he does not make it. That does kind of make me a hypocrite because somebody else is in this list. But again, I'm just going with my tum-tum, all right? And when I wake up tomorrow morning, of course this will change. That's how human brains work. Number 10 is going to wind everybody up as well, because that always seems to happen, but I just find her so darn entertaining, and I don't feel like she gets enough love. So I am putting in Nyla Rose. Now, really, the reason I like Nyla is because she is so unashamedly herself, right? She can play the monster character, which is awesome. But as we've seen time and time again in backstage skits, she is genuinely laugh out loud funny, which is also the same on social media. So I'm not going to lie. A lot of it is because she makes me chuckle, but I watch wrestling to be entertained. Also, she was in that number one contender four-way match a few weeks ago on Dynamite, and I thought that was an absolute treat, especially because I think Nyla had gone and said to everyone, listen, I'm the biggest person in this match, so I must smash you all. And she was going here, there, and everywhere. And once again, it was just so much fun to watch. So this is someone that I would like back in the picture more regularly. I suppose we have 2 belts now for the women, so it'd be cool if she could be inserted into one of those. Or maybe we just need to build more stories so we can include people like this. I mean, we've got Dynamite, we've got Collision, and come 2025, even though Rampage is going away, I think we are going to get Shockwave. So I shall keep my fingers crossed. But when I did sit down, I started making this list. She wasn't on it, and I wanted to find a place for her, so somebody else got thrown off. Nyla Rose is great. At number 9, I'm cheating once again, but look, these two people have to get in there, basically for the same reason. It's Will Ospreay and it's Mark Briscoe. Now, Will Ospreay is the best Will Ospreay that has ever existed. Sometimes I think when people go, oh, Will Ospreay's just doing flippy shib, I'm like, that's not true, man. Like, flippy shib, of course, exists in pro wrestling, but Will Ospreay has Will Ospreay matches. And the reason they're named after him is obviously because he is William Ospreay, but also nobody can do what Will Ospreay can do. Swerve Strickland did an interview recently on the No Contest Wrestling podcast, which you should check it out. It's really fun. And he was talking about the house call and how he kind of suspends himself in midair. And one of the reasons he made sure to double down on it as a maneuver is because Will told him, oh, I can't do that. And even Swerve was like, wait a minute, there's a move you can't do? Well, I'm definitely stealing it because, again, Will Ospreay kind of sits within this ether, all within himself. And the matches, I just love him, man. You can say he doesn't sell, it's not true because he does. You could say they're too fast, which I also disagree with. But the 3-way he had at Wrestle Dream, or the match he had with Ricochet, or the stuff he's done with Takeshita, or Bryan Danielson, and Kenny Omega, it's just an absolute treat. And I think the stuff he will do with Carl Fletcher is going to be awesome as well. Carl didn't make this list, but I tell you, if I did it in a couple of weeks, I bet he would do. But Mark Briscoe, you got to put in there too. I like Mark Briscoe so much, I'm into the Chris Jericho Ring of Honor World title feud because Mark Briscoe makes me care. I mean, he's totally crazy and he's totally nuts, but he also comes across like a real person. And once again, to break it down to the simplest stage, when I watch a wrestler, I just want to support them and I want to see them win. And that's the way with Mark Briscoe, and I don't know how we do this, but if one day he won the AEW World title, I would have water coming out of my seeing devices, and it's based on nothing but the way he talks and the way he is and the effort he gives me every single time in the ring. So they're very unique in that sense. Will Ospreay can kind of do his good stuff, and Mark Briscoe can do his good stuff, and I will gravitate towards it, even on times where maybe the story's a little bit squiffy or something doesn't actually make sense. So I know I've broken my rule, but as always, this is a very flexible list. Let's move on. He's in at number 8, we just mentioned him, is Swerve Strickland. Now, I'm kind of cheating once again because he's not on television right now, but he's only been off for a few weeks, and he was on Wrestle Dream, and he is doing everything with the people I'm not going to mention because they're 100% going to come in later. But when you look over 2024, Swerve was the guy that went, you know what, somebody has to elevate themselves to the top. In any kind of promotion, we need sort of moving parts here, like tectonic plates, and he became a guy that has become synonymous with the AEW World Championship and being in main events. And he always backed himself up every step of the way. And he just has a cool factor about him. Like, it's what Jey Uso has. Jey Uso just has something about him. Swerve is exactly the same. And the fact he's been able to manifest that over 2024, I mean, you see it on social media all the time. Oh, WWE dropped the ball with him. Now, I never really buy into that narrative. It's like when Stone Cold Steve Austin left WCW. Sometimes I think you need to leave a company in order to find yourself. And I'll tell you a story about Swerve as well, a personal story. He competed for Progress Progress Wrestling, a UK promotion over here in the UK, either in 2023 or 2022, I would presume it's 2023, and he had a match with Cara Noir, and watching him, like most of my experience with Swerve had been on the NXT stuff and what he'd done with Hit Row, and then he completely changed what I knew of him. I'm sure he's been doing this for years to make sure he matched what Cara Noir was going to bring to the match. And instantly, you're like, this guy's an amazing wrestling person. He's like a savant, kind of like Will Ospreay, but in his own special way. So yes, he is going to come back soon and probably get into some feuds that I am going to absolutely adore. But he is a guy where, I never miss Dynamite because it's my job. I'm very blessed to do that. But if I did, I would go on the internet and I would just type in, what did Swerve Strickland do? And I'd watch the clips. And that's when you know when you're into someone. Number 7 is going to send the internet wild too, but I genuinely mean this. I'm not doing this to troll. I'm not doing this to wind everybody up. I really do think Mercedes Monae is very entertaining. Now, some people like to criticize her microphone skills, and they don't really think this relationship with Camille is working. Absolutely. You can talk about that till the cows come home. But whatever character she is playing, or whenever she does stuff on social media, whenever she talks, she just makes me laugh out loud because she's such a troll. She is such a good heel, and she's so good at winding people up. Once again, I use that word. I do gravitate towards her stuff because I think she's doing exactly what she needs to do, and she is really, really good in the ring. Like, if we are talking about women in the Western wrestling world right now, she has to be in the conversation. She rarely has a bad match. And in fact, we'll go with worst, but that's a terrible term. The worst match she has had in 2024 was at All In with Britt Baker, but it certainly sounds like there was extenuating circumstances there. And let's not forget, Britt Baker has only just come back from a bunch of health issues. But also, it's a ratio thing. If you have 25 matches in a 6-month period, one of them is probably not going to be very good. It's nothing to do with either of the talents. That's just how the world works, because brains are stupid. But I can't help it, man. And I'm very excited for the Chris Statlander match. I'm glad we did the Willow Nightingale stuff. And I just want Mercedes to keep working with people. I'm sure she'll win every single one of the bouts, but I don't actually think we care. But also, if you did do that, and eventually you pick a successor, which probably should have been Willow Nightingale, but let's not talk about it, they will be made for beating Mercedes Monae. I tried to make that rhyme, not 100% sure. I did pull it off. But that was an easy put in there for me too. She went right in there. I was like, nope, I'm not bothered. I don't feel like she's keeping anybody else out. So you can go crazy in the comments. Again, she's a very polarizing figure, which is actually quite good for wrestling. But I think she's underrated, and I think she gets a bit of a hard ride. And number 6 is Okada. And yes, I know, people once again are upset. I love the New Japan Okada. Of course I did. He was the ultimate main eventer. He felt like the final boss. But we can always get back to that in AEW, because ever since he has arrived, once again, he has just lit my life up with love. I was doing a video the other day about 25 best moments of 2024, and even though people are going to be mad at me, I put the whole Okada cutting off Max Caster's mic and being like, I pressed the wrong button. I'm so sorry. Clip is one of my favorite clips of the last 5 years. It's kind of like a Kurt Angle situation, right? The reason Kurt Angle could be such a goof outside the ring is because in the ring, everyone knew he was a killer. It's the same with Okada. Maybe he's taken his foot off the gas a little bit, which he's allowed to do after killing himself in New Japan for 10 years. But you always know he can turn it back on. And go find me a bad match that he had. The only thing I haven't liked that he's done in AEW so far is the finish with Bryan Danielson on their last match before Bryan Danielson semi-retired. I just thought a surprise roll-up was a little bit strange. Big whoop. Who even cares? Other than that, really good matches. Love his comedic character. Everything he did with Mercedes Monae also made me laugh. So I can't help it, man. Once again, when I sit down with Dynamite, he wasn't on the last one, and that made me upset. And when I get to the point I actually want to see someone on TV because I know they're going to entertain me, who cares about 5-star matches? I mean, I do like those too, but I would much rather somebody gave me this on a week-to-week basis, especially because in 2024, everybody is giving us 5-star matches. You could just turn on a random episode of any television show and go, oh my gosh, it's the greatest thing that I've ever seen. So for me, if we're talking about Hall of Fame performers, what Okada has done in terms of showing range has actually put him even higher up a list that he was basically at the top of. And I can't wait to see what he does next week or the week after that. Please do not change him, Tony Khan. I'll be super duper sad. Moving on to number 5, I'm going to call them the Hurt Syndicate, but I think this is actually my favorite story in AEW right now. MVP or UMVP, Shelton Benjamin, surely Bobby Lashley, and they should recruit at least one of the people they are trying to recruit at the moment. I think you could do that. I just think they understand the gimmick, they understand pro wrestling, they understand the importance of patience, and I cannot wait for Shelton Benjamin versus Swerve Strickland. I mean, Shelton Benjamin is finally getting his due. do. Some people are going, oh, Shelton Benjamin shouldn't be beating Sammy Guevara and Lio Rush. Who cares, man? Sammy Guevara and Lio Rush are super talented people. They will be perfectly fine. But just because WWE didn't treat him in the right way doesn't mean you should bring him into AEW and go, oh, sorry, the other place didn't know how to use you, so we're going to do the same. No, give him his due. He still looks great. He's massively jacked. He can still go, and he has that, dare I say it, aura to him based on all the exploits he has done in the past. I mean, he's been around the block in a good way. He's a veteran. And MVP as his manager, that dude is just awesome as well. And when Bobby Lashley comes in, I don't want to see Bobby Lashley lose. I want to see Bobby Lashley kill people. Just because, again, WWE at the end of his tenure didn't really know what to do with him, which is fine. You have a cast of characters and you have to choose. That's not why you bring Bob in. You bring Bob in to be an absolute crusher, man. And Shelton Benjamin, MVP, should back him up too. So we never used the Hurt Business right in WWE. So now we are getting a second chance and it's already working and we've basically done nothing. And watching Shelton Benjamin hurl Sammy Guevara into the air, it takes two to tango, but Sam understood the assignment, Shelton understood the assignment, and I've loved both of his matches so far. So I've kind of thrown them into a group, but I think that does make sense. They're fantastic, they're wonderful, they make me want to watch the show, and I think they add to the AEW product. And if you don't like that, I don't care. Because my video. Moving on to number 4 is Hangman Adam Page, arguably the best performer in AEW and an AEW OG. And I think when you have those two things and you put them together, he just comes across as a very special talent. I mean, now I've said this, maybe Swerve should be further down the list. But again, he went away for a couple of weeks, whereas Hangman Adam Page is in his feud with Jay White right now. I just think he feels like a superstar. And again, I said this on a recent video over on What Culture Wrestling. Check them out and please subscribe to me as well. Eventually, he should go back after the world title. He should be a heel world champion, and he should hold that thing for a long time because of the last time he had it, we had all the weird stuff with CM Punk. I don't want to get into it. I've talked about it 1,000 times. Whereas I actually think you could re-establish him as a super top guy. I mean, the whole Moxie thing is getting in the way at the moment, but that's fine because there's an intrigue to there as well. But Hangman just makes everything work. I mean, right now he's playing psychotic wrestling character, and usually when you do that in sports entertainment, it's awful. It's cringy. It's like, this is a terrible performance. Not with Hangman. Even when he looks out of the crowd with that weird look on his face, you totally believe it. And he's like Drew McIntyre in the sense he's justified. Swerve did try and steal his kid. Swerve did terrible things to him. For some reason, we all turned on the cowboy. So when you have that kind of justification, you're able to expand that as well. So yeah, I love the fact he feels like a proper AEW guy. He never has bad matches, and he just gets it, right? He's not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's a shades of grey guy. He's got a terrific history already in that company. Could probably do something with Omega or the Young Bucks going forward if you want that nostalgia hit. I think he's terrific, and I think he should be the world champion again, probably by the end of 2025. And it's the same with number 3, who also could have been number 2, but I went with the way that I went, Willow Nightingale. Now, the only reason I didn't like the fact that at Wrestle Dream we did Mariah May versus Willow, which was awesome, by the way, is because I would have held off on giving Nightingale a world title shot until we were ready to go all in with her, excuse the pun. I think she should be the face of the women's division. Not that Toni Storm or Mariah May aren't great, they are. They should be included as well. But Willow Nightingale, when you have a babyface that connects in the way that she does, like Toni Storm is a great babyface, but the character, which is amazing, one of the best things of 2024, kind of pigeonholes it in a different way. Whereas Willow is what every wrestling company wants. You're an old school good guy that people want to cheer. It's much like Cody Rhodes in WWE. And when you do luck into this, I think you need to run to the hills with it because it's so hard to get people to care about someone that is smiley and nice. It's 2024. People don't want smiley and nice until they actually see someone who's very genuine and they realize that they do because it makes us feel, you know the deal, warm and fuzzy in our tum-tum. So never has bad matches, has an absolute edge to her, not Adam Copeland. I mean, look at the street fights you had it all out with Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander should probably be in here as well, but she's not, only because I'm still baffled by that face heel turn, but she at least deserves a shout out. But yeah, I would build my whole entire women's division around Willow. Let her beat Mercedes, let her beat Mariah. I mean, we're not really in that position right now. We'd have to rebuild it. But talk about someone that has come of age in 2024, and we finally let her talk properly as well, and lo and behold, she can do that too. So absolute superstar in the making. Could probably actually help, I think, if we did include her more, because she comes and goes like a lot of people on this list. But hey man, these are my current favourites. And she's number 3. And number 2, and this is more about what I think we are going to do and where we have been, is my man, my friend, Orange Cassidy. And the reason I like Orange Cassidy so much is basically what I said back in 2019. He is the modern day Repo Man. People look at me when I say that like, that's the biggest insult ever. That's not how I mean it. Orange Cassidy is a reminder of what pro wrestling can be when you come up with gimmicks and characters and you become super creative. Like, originally he was a dude that didn't give a damn, but then if you pushed his buttons, he would go crazy. And we jump forward to 2024 and he still has all those traits, but he has a heart and he has a soul based on things that he's done in AEW. The BCC took out Chuck Taylor, his best friend, his lover, and now he's mad. He's even mad at Daniel Garcia, who's meant to be a good guy. But the reason people are putting so much pressure on his shoulders is because he has defeated Jon Moxley before, and somebody has to defeat Jon Moxley. I would imagine at Full Gear, whatever the hell the next pay-per-view is, it will be Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy. And if you tell this story in the right way, I don't think necessarily anybody would believe that Orange is going to become the world champion. But you could plant the seeds for down the line to give him that belt. And again, when I made my video in 2019 when AEW started about Mr. Cassidy, I said he should be the world champion. Now, I said by 2022, so I'm probably going to be at least 3 years out, but I still believe that to be true. And as soon as I realized he was being put into this position, and we were adding depth to his character, and you had people like Jerry Lynn and Jeff Jarrett, was it, I think? Obviously Chuck Taylor too, saying, Orange, you're better than this, or you're the man, you can do it, you can climb to the top. I was like, this is the kind of thing that I want to do. Same with Hangman. Let's take these OGs like we're doing with Daniel Garcia and make sure we light a fire under their ass. So he's multifaceted, his old Orange Cassidy, which is kind of incredible because if you interviewed him in kayfabe, he's like, man, I don't care, I couldn't give a damn, while wearing a backpack. But there's more to this. Once again, it goes to show what you can do with wrestling if you have the mindset for it. So I'm so excited about him being in the main event. And hey, man, if you want to pull a fast one and give him the title, I ain't gonna moan. And number 1 is Maxwell Jacob Freeman. I can't help it. He's my favorite AEW guy. I just think he ticks all the boxes. I know some people are like, oh, he just cuts the same promo all the time, but you could lay that criticism on anybody in professional wrestling. All I care about is he is a well, fully thought out character. I often believe in his character entirely, and I actually have to talk myself out of going, I'm sure he's not like that. Maybe he is. I don't know. And 9 times out of 10, I enjoy every single feud he's in. Now, again, we mentioned Adam Cole. I'm a bit confused about the Undisputed Kingdom stuff, but I'm also totally sympathetic to the fact we're trying to retcon this, excuse me, after all the injuries. But before that, his world title run last year, I was a huge fan of. I even liked the Devil Mask stuff, which people didn't. I mean, it did go totally off the rails, but I think without people getting hurt, that could have worked. And I enjoyed everything he did at the first All In. I enjoyed everything he did with Will Ospreay. When he has a championship, I think he makes it mean something. When he's a heel, he goes all out to get booed. When he was a face, he tried to find that endearing nature, and he was a success. It kind of goes back to what I keep talking about. He's just so entertaining, and I want to see him on my TV. Like some people go, he talks too long in promos. I would have 25 minutes of that man talking. I would enjoy all of it. I like all the insider baseball stuff. I get the criticism sort of a couple of years ago when he shouldn't be talking about WWE as much from a business sense, but I'm a fan. I don't have to worry about business sense. And if you are going to blur those lines of kayfabe and kind of talk about the competition, he does it brilliantly. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's doing this. So I think he's got this magical quality to him as well, because people forget how good he is in the ring. They just think he's a promo guy or a character guy, which he totally is. But when was the last time he had a bad match? I mean, he had that Iron Man match with Bryan Danielson. That was absolutely ridiculous too. And there'll be other things I'm not thinking about. But right now, I think the whole Adam Cole Undisputed thing, I mean, they're super talented as well. Of course they are. But if MJF wasn't in that, I don't think it would be working as well. And he's out there shooting movies. And while that's not a reason for someone to be your favorite wrestler, it does make me respect him even more. I think he's a very inspiring guy, especially because he's like, 26, 27 years old? So I got like 10 years on him. It's kind of sad now. Makes me upset. But, you know, when he's not on a show, I feel it. And when he is included on a show, you know, I get excited. And it's a shame that he is out filming movies, but also not, because the human side is awesome. But when he is back regularly, I just think he helps AEW Dynamite. And again, when I was kind of putting this list together and I had the number 1 spot open, he was a guy. There probably is someone that I've forgotten about that will make me go crying to my cereal. But as I've already told you, I can wake up and change this tomorrow. Now, of course, more importantly, please do leave me a comment below and let me know who your favorite AEW wrestlers are right now, and watch the WWE list so we can just get into big arguments. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe, and go muck around with that notification bell, especially on the mobile app. Otherwise, it's grillermind.com/Simon. Make sure you use code Simon to get 10% off. Again, these are the fitness supplements I use. They're absolutely awesome. And I tried Gorilla Mode Lightning recently, which I will talk to you about. out. Otherwise, patreon.com/Simon316. Sign up for a go-go fitness. Use the code Simon20. Simon316 on all social media. Simon Miller on Patreon. Simon J. Miller on TikTok. And Simon Miller on Pro Wrestling Tees. Buy your stupid wrestling shirt. Otherwise, just enjoy wrestling, my friends. It's there to make you feel good. And I'll see you soon.